Well, good evening and welcome to the Bay Area. Two ACC gymnastics giants going at it. Number 13 Stanford crosses the Bay Bridge to Haas Pavilion to take on the number 7 California Golden Bears. The stars are out. Anna Roberts, the NCAA vault champion last year for Stanford. On the other side for Cal, they have so many superstars, including MJ Frazier, who set the NCAA scoring record last year, and Maya Lizan, the ACC Gymnast of the Week. Well, hello, everybody. Along with former Division I gymnast Evan Hyder, my name is Tim Swartz. You look at the ACC standings, Evan. These are the two highest-ranked teams. They're both undefeated in conference. I mean, tonight is for the regular season.
Undeniable. We're going to see technical, aesthetic, balanced gymnastics across the board from both teams.
Well, last time Stanford was here, it was a magical moment for the Cardinal as they overcame a 10th deficit on the 4th rotation, and they made it to the NCAA championships. It was so much emotion between these two teams that were going to Fort Worth.
A 10 to qualify last routine. Amazing for Stanford to deliver that. They're hoping to replicate that energy tonight, undoubtedly.
Well, these programs very close in terms of proximity, but they're also very close in terms of relationships. You go up to the Seattle area, and Maya Lizan and Anna Roberts, they grew up together competing for Metropolitan Gymnastics. You see them then, this is them now. Maya Lizan, a 39.65 last week at NC State.
Any event Maya Lizan touches, you're in for a 9.9 or better. She's trending that way this year. A leadoff 9.925 on bars last week. Follows it up with this textbook classic Lizan, Yurchenko 1.5. Over on floor exercise, it's the perfect mix of artistry, precision in dance, and tumbling. Closing things out with the 1.5 layout front full. And on beam, she's a national champion in her own right. Double full zeros in on that landing. Huge, always on the beam for Lizan.
On the other side for Stanford, her close beams for Anna Roberts, first team All-American in the all-around last year.
Anna Roberts is somebody who Stanford depends on both on and off the competition floor, and she delivers time and time again, no matter where she is in the lineup. It's beautiful presentation on floor and on uneven bars, one of the floatiest double layouts in the country. Her teammates are always stoked on it, so is she. Excited to see what Roberts has in store for us tonight.
And the format for this NCAA gymnastics meet, it's 6 events, 6 gymnasts per team. The lowest score will be dropped for apparatus. Cal will start on the vault. Stanford will start on the bars. Last time these two teams met in a duel, March 10th, 2024 at Maples Pavilion. Cal scored a program record 198.55, clinching their first outright Pac-12 title. Stanford had a 197.975 second best score ever for the Cardinal. Maddie Williams leads things off on the vault, 2-time All-American on the vault.
For Maddie today, it's about zeroing in on this Yurchenko full. She knows exactly how to do it, where to put her body to see that landing. Tiny scoot back, almost a reverberation of that energy up through that. Tidy landing and good potential to stick in the future. We're not seeing it tonight, though. Look at that form, open hips across. Scoots the heels back. Just a little extra juice there for Maddie Williams. Solid start, 1 in the bank for the Bears.
Ana Paula Gutierrez on the bars, that is season best, 9.875 in the win last weekend at Maples for Stanford against North Carolina.
She works with a confidence that you can't help, but it just makes you feel something on uneven bars. She swings freely, and the extension on every handstand, remarkable. She's setting up for a difficult dismount here, looking to get it all the way around. Nice rotation and scoots that heel in. Now what, her demeanor is not showing you right there. She was a little close to this, to the bar on the dismount, but we talked about the extension through the legs, ankles, toes, right back up to the high bar. So she blind changes right here, and look at that, ooh, scoots those toes by, but like I said, cool customer on the landing for AP.
Kind of Hugh on the vault after Williams picked up a 9.825. Mayhew, a 9.95 on vault she's had before.
Cayenne last week missed the block and unfortunately ended in a fall in her performance against NC State. So a little bit of redemption here, putting her second in the lineup after a very secure full, giving her some space to work it out in front of the home crowd, needs to really settle in and be patient on the block. The block is that phase where her hands are contacting the table. Needs to be patient with it. That's what we're used to seeing from Cayenne Mayhew. I would say she rushed that block phase just a tiny bit, but stayed very solid in her body position in the air. Let's get another look here. So we see this block phase after the round off, back handspring onto the table. Tiny hop forward and well between those lines that indicate to the judges whether or not there's gonna be an off-center deduction.
Stanford on the bars last week at a 49.5. That's their best of the season. They had their best overall score, 197.975. Last year against, I should say, 197.25 last week against UNC. And here is Kendra Cheng, who had a career best 9.875 last week against UNC.
Very nice. And she's actually following a 9.875 leadoff from Anapela Gutierrez. Great position for this freshman to be in. Pac Salto was floaty down a little bit around the side on that half pirouette to low bar, but I really like her aggression in these handstands. I would say handstands have progressed a little bit less as the routine has gone on. But wow, look at that double layout position and makes the landing look easy. Stanford is coming to play in these first two routines. Watch right here, she has a toe-on Shaposhnikova, it's called the Maloney, and then transitions right back down. Camera's keeping up with her. This was the highlight for me, though. Watch the toes rise up. She releases the exact correct point. Oh, takes your breath away when it's done like that. Great, confident performance for the freshman, Kendra Cheng.
From Cupertino in the South Bay. It was a 9.875 from Mayhew, and here is one of the best in the country, Ella Cesario. Last time at Haas had a career best 9.9 on the vault against Clemson and won that event.
We talked about the importance of Maddie Williams zeroing in on that Yurchenko full. Exactly the same here for Ella. Big block and similar. Hops back, okay? So she puts herself in that exact right position, but the shoulders stay always behind the hips. She's always gonna get that hop back. But amazing pre-flight right here before she makes contact, and the body position, the leg form, exactly where she needs to be. Now it's just really going for that stick. Almost takes one hand out, gives us a little wave, and then flares the other one out too. When Ella Cesario sticks that vault, it has 9.95 potential. That's the start value. That would be perfection there.
Cheng got a 9.9 for Stanford. That is a career best. And here is Brennan Alt, the senior from Southern California.
Coach Tabitha Yim talked about the importance of the upperclassmen and especially seniors like Brennan Nolt. She is able to translate the pillars of the program to the underclassmen and also have standout performances. That first handstand on low bar, absolutely gorgeous. Pac Salto floated right down. This was very good so far. Last handstand crucial. Stalls it out just a little bit, toe on, toe off. Late in that pirouette, she needs to nail it. Double tuck to a stuck landing, 3 in a row for Stanford. Huge there. We talked about that one short handstand. It'll be interesting to see what the judges do. It happened right here. Toes go over, a little bit past vertical. Look at the pointed toes throughout. Would love to see those knees together. But wow, Brenna Knoll, year after year, puts those double tucks to her feet, sticks the landing just like that.
Ella Cesario got a 9.775 on the vault. And here's a former All-American on the vault, MJ Frazier.
Name of the game for MJ is give yourself enough time to spot this landing. She'll twist quickly off the vault, do 2 twists, more than anyone we've seen tonight. Another hop back, but really liked the form throughout for MJ. She's really locking those knees out, extending through the ankles. We'll get another look here. Here's the block, makes good contact, actually jams in just a little bit. So when you're jammed in, that means you're a little rushed. Comes in right there and starts twisting right off the bat. So really kept it under control and actually a great landing. She's way more centered than we've seen her in other weeks this year. Still the hop back, but good consideration.
Back to bars for Stanford. Here's some of the points of emphasis.
These handstands are really what Stanford is kind of taunting the rest of the nation with. They're locking them out, they're holding it. It's almost a bounce on top of the bar. It's that full vertical position. That is really what stands out for me and Stanford's execution on bars.
Nault got a 9.85. And here's Ava Sorrento, a bar specialist, at a 9.875 last week against the Tar Heels.
Yeah, international elite experience for Canada here. Toe on, toe off. Got Maloney up to the high bar. Ooh, the leg and the foot form throughout. It's exactly how you want to do it. Yeah, that's an aggressive half pirouette. Toes glued together on the low bar after the Pac Salto. Sets up for the dismount. Another double layout. Great rise. Saw a tiny movement of her right foot. Really making sure that she settles in. The judges see control. We talked about the handstand position right there. Passes through vertically beautifully. Tiny leg separation on the Pac Salto. Maybe a glimmer of deduction. Watch that right foot. Oh, left heel actually rose up a little bit. Should be a lack of stability there, but no major movements. Ava Sorrento very happy with it.
Yeah, Frazier a 9.85 on vault. Here's the two-time All-American on the vault, Maya Lozon, who has 3 10s in her career.
And she's very used to sticking this vault in Haas Pavilion. Would be great for the Bears right now. Get that momentum back for the final 2 vaulters. Oh, yeah. Tiny movement there, some deduction to be had, but really like the aggression from Maya Lozon on that one. She almost went out with a little bit of a chip on her shoulder, and you love to see it zero in as she gets a high five from co-head coach Elizabeth Crandall Howell. Let's take another look here. Watch how she waits after the block. Good rise up there. And right there, really fights for it. She's actually used this position on floor exercise before. She's a really flexible back, so she's able to actually stop that momentum using that flexibility. Another thing that Maya Lozon can do. What can't she do?
Well, he gave Sorrento a 9.825. Our first look at the first team All-American in the all-around last year. Anna Roberts had a career best, 9.95, won the event against North Carolina last week at Maples Pavilion.
Anna Roberts, we talked about it off the bat. Consistent anywhere she is in the lineup for Stanford. Look at the stall on that first handstand, floaty down through the Pac Salto. Now, gymnast over gymnast, her leg, foot, and ankle form on the Pac Salto compared to Sorrento's, much tighter. To toe on, Shaposhnikova have Van Leeuwen, and you saw how she kept swinging really quickly there. After that, so to set up that final handstand, rushed it just a little bit. I would say that's a deduction. And then we saw the beautiful double layout. The body position there, really excellent. Toe on, toe off. Van Leeuwen. Watch the dismount here. Keep in mind where her shoulders are in relation to her hips. You saw them drift back a little bit, so it takes that tiny pace back to make sure she's straight up and down.
Back over to the vault. This is the, quote, weakest event for Cal. They're still 10th in the country as Maya Wiley had a 9.825 at the Sprouts. That's her season best in the vault after the 9.9 from Lozon.
And something that Cal has committed to is building an arsenal of 10-0 vaults. This one, Yurchenko 1.5. There you go. Maya Wiley getting some confidence under her belt. There are some considerations that we're going to see back in slow-mo. Saw some soft knees. It actually drifted over a little bit to the line. So Maya Wiley, again, getting that confidence in a competitive setting. They definitely set her up to be wanting to count that score. We'll see what the judges do with it.
Yeah, the lowest score will be dropped right now. It's Cesario's 9.775.
And I would say in relation to the rest of Cal's season, counting vault scores only the 9.8 mark, exactly where they want to be and what they're doing. Shows the potential of when you stick those landings, it's going to be great.
They're averaging 49.13 on the vault. Again, that is their weakest event, and they're still 10th in the country. They gave Anna Roberts a 9.85. And here's Hui Soma, the Bay Area native from Belmont.
The handstand! It's amazing. That is textbook. Right up to the Maloney. Carries it back down. Feet sickled ever so slightly. Aggressive in that handstand as well through the Van Leeuwen. Finesses that went up through the straddle cast. Hui Soma setting up. Double layout. Really aesthetic double layout and absorbs that landing through. It's like she lands like a feather there. Watch this handstand. Boom. Low bar money for Uisoma. Sets it up right here. Tiny leg separation throughout this in the air. You can see it there in slow-mo. Pikes it down ever so slightly. And the arm circle, believe it or not, Tim, the arm circle shows a lack of control, so opens the door for judges to deduct.
So Wiley got a 9.8, so Cesario's 9.775 is dropped. It ends up being a 49.25 for Cal on the vault, pretty close to their season high. Sage Melkonian, exhibition.
Sage Melkonian, we talked about the testing of Maya Wiley and that arsenal of Yurchenko 1.5s. She's another one there. Rushed it. We'll get another look here, hopefully. She seemed to be back on the board. Yeah, we won't get another look at Sage, but solid numbers in the books for both teams.
Soma gets a 9.9 and a slight lead for Stanford, but why not give the Bearhead to Maya Wiley? It's big meets. Second rotations coming up after this. All right, so we welcome in Justin Howell, the co-head coach of the California Golden Bears, facing off with Stanford. First big meet here in the ACC. How much fun is this?
Oh, it's a lot of fun. I mean, we're happy to be back at home in Haas Pavilion. You know, we love performing here in front of our home crowd. So good energy in the building, and, you know, we're just going to keep it rolling.
Justin, we talked about the arsenal of 10-0 vaults that you're building here. It's relentless. Who really stood out to you in that performance tonight?
Well, I was really proud of Maya Wiley. You know, she's kind of been in and out. She's a freshman. You know, these are big moments, and they're great learning opportunities for her. And so happy to be able to slide her in the 6 and for her to go out and do a good vault. You know, was happy with the consistency of the vault rotation too. I mean, that's one of the things that we've been working on. You know, last week we had a little bit of a fall there with Kyan, and so she did a great vault tonight. So, you know, just happy that were calm and much more confident this week on the event.
Let's talk about that patented Milazon upper back flexibility, really gutsy. What do you rely on most for Maya on vault?
Consistency. I mean, she's, you know, a super fast athlete, you know, lots of power. But I mean, we see this day in and day out with her. And so, you know, I think she expects that of herself too, but it's nice to have that stability in our lineup for sure.
Very nice. And we also saw MJ Frazier, big double full coming out there. She actually came into the board a little crunched, a little table a little crunched. Talk about what it was great to see, you know, kind of off the table, her being patient in that move.
Yeah, I mean, MJ's really been working on, you know, her head position and trying to be a little bit more patient off the table. From where I was standing, it was kind of hard to see what the board looked like, but she was a lot more square, and those are the things that we've been working on. And it was powerful. All of her warm-up vaults were powerful. I mean, she did one in the warm-up I thought could have been an Aminar. So happy to see those things, and, you know, we'll just keep working on the little adjustments so that the landings get there.
All right, thank you, Coach. Second rotations coming up as Cal will be on the bars. And Stanford on the vault, slight lead for Stanford. Lead for Cal. One big reason why, Kendra Chang, who was very strong on the bars.
Yeah, notching that 9.9 and really capitalize on this release point of the double layout dismount. Zeroes in like a feather right there.
Maya Lasan for the Cal Bears, a 9.9 vault.
Talked about this patented landing technique. She is going for broke, lets it rise up and almost has that stuck hold landing.
Slight advantage for Stanford, 49.375 for the Cardinal on the bars. Second rotation, Cal moves to the bars, Stanford on the vaults, next from Haas.
Growing up, there weren't that many Black female athletes, and let alone gymnasts. At home meets, I'll have little girls come up to me and be like, "You're my favorite because you look just like me." And to feel that, it's like so heartwarming because I want to be inspiration for little girls. So hard. I want them to know that, like, it doesn't matter what you look like, you can accomplish whatever you want. Anything is possible. You don't have to settle. You just have to train for what you want, work super hard, and like, don't let people block your greatness.
MJ Frazier loves competing against Stanford, 39.825 last year against the Cardinal at Maples. That was a program record. Kendra Chang leads things off. 5'2" freshman from Cupertino had a 9.75 last week against North Carolina on the vault.
It'll be great to see after that 9.9 how she carries that momentum into the next event. For Kendra Chang on the season, very clean, tidy vault. I would say her hips never fully extended, and she actually drifted over slightly. We'll take another look here. Watch where she comes onto the horse. Yeah, a little bit far back on the table and takes it up, so lacking a bit of distance. But we talk about those Yurchenko fulls as an insurance policy. Getting one early in the books, great for Stanford.
Cal, number 5 in the country on the bars. Last week had a 49.35 against NC State. Maya Lasan last week won the bars with a 9.925.
Won the bars in the leadoff position. Really a testament to her commitment to the technique here. Handstands have been on top, everything neat and tidy so far. Crucial handstand there, very nice. Finesses it up. She's gonna do the full twisting double back. And that's exactly how you want to start a bar rotation in Haas.
Maya Lasan, a 9.9 on the vault, and then a strong performance here on the bars.
Let's get another look at the wind-up for the dismount. It's 2 flips with 1 twist, doing her best to keep those ankles and knees together with so much going on. But what she does do is really allows it to rise up so she has enough height off the bars to zero in and spot the landing.
Now Stanford 20th in the country on the vault. It's their lowest scoring event, but last week they scored a 49.25. Chang started with a 9.775. And here's Alana Walker.
Alana Walker is going to be a more powerful Yurchenko full than Kendra Chang. You could see in the air she flares it out, but definitely had a lot of power going backwards. Kept it under control nicely, but that big kind of bounding step back. Flares out, and actually important to note that front foot that she wasn't stepping back with also slid, so you're going to incur kind of a double deduction there upon landing for Alana Walker.
Walker, part of a very strong freshman class. Tabitha Yim kind of made it a point to tell us this freshman class has worked so hard. Here's a look at MJ Frazier, quite simply one of the best to ever do it here at Cal.
MJ Frazier is a treat. It's a delight because you know you're going to see well-executed gymnastics with confidence. And there's nothing better than a 9.925 in the leadoff position to really amp that confidence even further than you thought. Starts off with this cast. We talked about the aggression we saw from Stanford. Cal's got to match it over here. Toe on Shaposh, the Maloney, into a Pax Salto. Leg separations through both, but like the aggression on that half pirouette, maintains good pressure against the bar, and that is an emphatic final handstand before a double leg. Exactly what you want to do on that dismount. Like the combination of height and distance that MJ is able to achieve on that double leg. It'll be interesting to see. Look at the hand position here. Yep, great pressure maintained through. And watch the feet on the dismount. Are there any shifts of the heels, the toes? Yeah, heel scoot back just a touch. Probably the smallest amount you could move. MJ Frazier has accomplished that, but really, really good routine, especially after the momentum of that 9.925.
Walker got a 9.75. Here's Brennan Altz, who had a season best 9.825 last week against North Carolina.
This is gonna make you jump a little, Tim. It's a full on to the table, back pike off, and zeroes in on that landing. Coach Tabitha Yim was talking about the importance of these 10-0 vaults, this being one of them. If they can zero in on those landings, that's what's going to help build their confidence meet over meet. Big for Brennan Alt right here, full on. Actually gets a decent amount of rise off the table. Sometimes you see gymnasts just go straight into the ground. Right there, you saw the hips rise up. Great example from Brennan Nolt there. Absorbs it, just tiny bit low. I would say that's the main consideration on that landing, but doesn't move the feet at all.
Cal 5th in the country on the bars. But what makes Cal so good on the bars, Evan?
It's their commitment to technique, and that really doesn't just happen on uneven bars, but their basics. They work these handstand positions. They extend their arms, really even through the kip swings. It's unmistakable.
9.9 for Frazier, and here's Ella Cesario.
Huge momentum going for Cal on bars. This is the kind of lineup they want to build. 9.9 plus scores throughout all 6 athletes. Line change into the straddled Jaeger. came in a tiny bit closer than she usually does on the Jaeger, but kept everything moving down to the low bar. Crucial last handstand. I would say within the 10 degrees, but a tiny bit short. Double A. Very nice. Similar movement, just in a different direction than we saw from MJ Frazier. Now, the vulnerable part of that, though, is that she stepped forward, so the little hop forward, so that means short of rotation for Ella. Winding up for the dismount here. Nice rise. Wow, great view of that extended body position through her hips and entire torso.
Last time she competed on the bars here at Haas at 9.925 against Clemson, a career best. What are the judges looking for on the vault?
I mean, vault, it's got to be that start value, of course. You would hope the judges keep that in mind. Tonight we're seeing 10s, 9.95s, but it's also going to be the quality, the execution that we're seeing in the air. So that means extension of the torso, flat through the hips. It's Terrell Wynn now with the Yurchenko 1.5. Lots of power, and this is very interesting because you saw the hop and then subsequent steps. So in the mind of the judges, they shouldn't be ending their deduction evaluation until she's secure and saluting with both hands overhead. Watch right here, gets those shoulders way in front of her hips. She's vaulting onto an 8-incher though, so this is very indicative of how much power she usually has. That was, you know, I think classic Terrell Wynn there, power to spare.
Back over to the bars. Maddie Williams, we wait for the score, and it is showed it. Cesario, 9.875, and here's Maddie Williams, two-time All-American on the bars, 14th currently in the country.
Maddie Williams last season flirting with that 10.0 on bars. This season, with handstands aggressive as that, she should be right up in there. Low bar handstand, done well again, toe on, toe off. So far, so good. Loses her toes just a tiny bit. Last handstand, I like the aggression there. Shoulders tiny bit lagging behind. I think she knew how good it was on the apparatus. Started thinking about that double layout, just rushed it a tiny bit. Early on in this routine, this sequence is a highlight. The Van Leeuwen there, up to this handstand, and you saw, I think she got a little bit rushed there, started thinking about, ooh, it's a good one. And that carried through. The position in the air, she committed to that. You can tell day in, day out, that's exactly how Maddie Williams is executing that. Came up a bit short of rotation here today.
They gave Wynn a 9.7. I think Stanford hopes to drop that as Ana Paula Gutierrez on the vault. She had a 9.875 on the bars earlier.
Talked about her confidence on uneven bars. She carries it right back over here. Yurchenko 1.5. And that's how you get your team back on track. This is how AP looks day in, day out, week in, week out. It's a veteran performer who you know you can rely on. Another look here, take a close look at the knee form. Sometimes gets a bit soft. Yep, I would say, especially right in that last half twist, but zeroes in on the landing. The block here lets it rise up. Actually a bit of a closed shoulder angle as she was on top of the table. She opens that up a little bit, it's gonna rise up. She gets great distance, as we saw tonight, one tiny hop forward.
Maddie Williams, a very solid 9.85. Here's Casey Brown, the Bay Area native. Last week at NC State in Raleigh had a 9.85 on the bars.
Tim, last time we were watching Casey Brown do bars in Haas, I talked about patience. She's extremely patient to allow a pack salto like that float down, toe on, toe off. Keeping everything in line here. This handstand critical. Really gutsy performance to keep the momentum going and stick a dismount like that. But I talked about the importance of that final handstand. She was well short today. So a bit of a mixed bag for Casey Brown in that performance, but still celebrating, gotta be happy with it. Yeah, rushes and just never hits that vertical position that we've seen throughout Stanford's lineup and earlier for Cal. But that dismount, the distance, the height, zeroes in.
Here's Anna Roberts, the national champion in the vault. She scored a 9.95 at the NCAA championships. In last week against North Carolina, she scored a 9.95 on the vault.
This technique that Anna Roberts uses allows her to put herself in the exact position. It's straight up and down, shoulders stacked over hips. When she does that, commits to it, lets it fly freely, she nails it. That's why she's a vault national champion. Here we go, Yurchenko 1.5. She passed through it and bounds forward. You have to credit Anna Roberts for the aggression. The extension was exemplary throughout that Stanford lineup. Way too much power tonight, but good potential for future weeks. That shoulder angle allows her to pop up in comparison to other vaults that we saw, but you see those shoulders well in front of the hips, bounds forward, but undeniable sound technique there.
And Roberts winning that national championship on the vault, just the 4th individual champion in school history. Now, they just flashed the score for Casey Brown. It's at 9.825, and well, it's great to see Annalise Newman-Achi, the Brooklyn, New York native. She had her first ever event last week for Cal on the bars, scoring a 9.825 in Raleigh.
We talk about this depth that Cal has cultivated season over season, and Annalise is a beautiful example of that. Started in an exhibition role earlier this season, steps into the competitive lineup and hits. Really, you know, you talk about Cal bars, floaty, same thing through the Maloney, through the Pac Salto here, maintaining her foot and ankle form beautifully. I would say more patient than we saw Casey Brown on that one. Dismount's gonna be critical. Surprised herself with that floor a little bit, has to take a single pace back. But again, getting that competitive lineup experience, crucial for Annalise. Does that aggressive half pirouette, back up to the high bar, winds up for this dismount. You see the bar pinging off, means she let go a little bit earlier than anticipated, and then will set her up for that perfect landing, takes a step back. I would say that Cal bars lineup hit a bit of a dip in terms of that crescendo. Again, we're seeing Maya Lozon hit over 9.9 in the leadoff position. That's what every team in the nation is hoping for from their leadoff.
So a pretty strong performance by Cal as of now, 49.375. That's better than their season average on the bars. We'll step aside when we come back. The third rotation, Cal will be on the beam, and Stanford, their best event, the floor. It's the big meet from Haas Pavilion on ACC Network. 7 California, a slight lead over number 13 Stanford here in the big meet. A reminder, our next gymnastics meet will be right here on ACC Network and the ESPN app. Sunday afternoon, number 24 Clemson goes to number 23 North Carolina. They face off at Carmichael Arena in Chapel Hill. Coverage begins at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific here on the ACC Network. And we're joined by Stanford head coach Tabitha Yim. You told us you love Haas Pavilion, and what's so great about competing in this building?
We have a lot of great memories here, and so it's always a great reminder of how we were able to close out the season last year. And so also any opportunity to compete here in the Bay. I feel like we have a great rivalry going with Cal. They're a great program, and it's a fun environment, and it's close to home for us. So, you know, we're soaking up every moment and using it as a growth opportunity for sure.
Tabitha, the opportunity knocked, and you all answered with that aggressive start on bars. Talk about what you saw in that lineup tonight.
Yeah, I just want to give kudos to Vince. He's been working really hard with the squad, getting after those event goals and the focuses. We've been really working on our handstands, working on the technique going into our dismounts, so we have a better opportunity to stick. And I'd say it worked out pretty well with that rotation. I thought we did a much better job of the on-bar work, really working the form. And then it was nice to see 5 out of 6 sticks there to start off the competition here. So very exciting start for sure.
Absolutely, lots of love for the stick. Want to talk about the 10-0 vault that we saw Brenna Knoll absolutely drill. She's so important to this team, both on and off the competition floor. What'd you see from her tonight?
Yeah, she's such a veteran leader and somebody that just exudes joy with every single thing that she does. Even on her run, I think she's smiling in the run. And so to see her really step up in that 3rd spot and nail that 10-0 start value, that's really going to set us up for the end of the season. And then, you know, the things that we've been working on vault, I was really proud of the squad. I felt like on the table, off the table, those were big vaults. Not ready yet for those landings, but certainly sets us up well for the end of the season.
All right, thanks, Coach. Best of luck the rest of tonight.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Go Card.
So coming up next, Stanford will be on the floor. Their best event, Cal, is on the beat. Cal of 49.4 on the bars, equaling their season high, and that has gotten them a slight lead over number 13 Stanford here in this pivotal ACC dual meet. Stanford, a 49.075 on the vault by a 9.9 from Brennan Alt.
Coach Tabitha Yim was just talking about the importance of nailing these 10-0 start values, and Brennan Nolt capitalized on that beautiful block, zeroed in on the landing.
Maya started things off for Cal and won the bars with a 9.925.
I mean, 9.925 leadoff autopilot. That's the Maya Lazan brand, and another part of that brand is sticking that full twisting double tuck.
And Maya Lazan autopilot's like one of those Waymos you see going around San Francisco.
She knows exactly where to be.
Well, Stanford goes to the floor. As you see, Maya Lazan, Brennan Naultz shared the vault at 9.9. Maya Lazan, again, winning an event. She's the ACC Gymnast of the Week for the second time last week for that performance against NC State. And just how important is it for Coach Justin Howell, Liz Crandell-Howell, to have a rock like Maya Lazan?
I mean, like we talked about off the top, anytime Maya Lazan is out on an apparatus, there's a level of confidence and there's a level of trust that permeates through that performance. Coach Justin Howell knows how indispensable she is to this program, and they're able to build confidence of other athletes through what Maya Lazan puts in day out.
One of the four all-arounders for Cal. They don't have a nickname. I was thinking maybe Core Four, Fantastic Four, Magnificent Four, whatever you want to call them. Ella Cesario, last time we were here at Haas Pavilion, had her first all-around win, a 39.475 against Clemson. She was the ACC Gymnast of the Week.
It was emphatic across all four events for Ella. And Tim, you said it exactly right. They have that quartet of all-around performers, and Ella is pushing Maya, former MJ, Maddie, in every regard. Beautiful performance on the floor. We'll look for you in that one later tonight.
Asked Justin, how do they have a nickname for the four? They said no, so Evan will probably come up with a good one by the end of the year. Slight lead for Cal over Stanford. How would you kind of assess where both teams are through two rotations thus far?
Off the top, we mentioned consistent, technical, aesthetic gymnastics, and I think that's exactly what we've seen. We've seen moments where their lineups are kind of dipping down just a little bit. We haven't seen that full crescendo up through an entire rotation. So I think that leaves something to be desired in these last two events for each team, but nothing to scoff at so far.
They are the two highest ranked teams in the ACC. And we talked about it at the start. They've beaten most of their competitors this year. And for all intents and purposes, this is kind of the regular season ACC championship.
It means a lot tonight. And historically, these two have not been this close in the rankings during their regular season matchups. So I think it almost invigorates a dual meet format when you can have a little more on the line. Not only regional bragging rights, conference bragging rights, but again, these are threats to make the national championship and arguably four on the floor.
And we just saw Tabitha Yim. What a moment. The perfect 10 on the floor to send Stanford to the NCAA finals last year. The first unseeded team in the current format to ever do that ever.
And we talked to Tabitha Yim, and she was pretty much like, yep, we knew exactly what we were capable of, and we didn't look or attribute anything unnecessarily to where the seedings were. We knew we were going to walk in, do our gymnastics, and go big. Chloe Widner, Stanford legend. I mean, it was an amazing electric moment to see her close out that floor rotation with a 10.
Tabitha called it a magic moment. She said she tries to stay calm for her team, and when she saw that 10 go up, she lost her mind.
I mean, for those who remember Tabitha Yim from her elite days, I would not say calm was something that she emitted. She was an intense competitor, and she always emitted that outwardly on the competition floor.
Well, speaking of great competitors, Liz Crandell-Howell, co-head coach of the Cal Bears, two-time All-American at BYU. Ella Cesario on the beam. Cal last week had a season best 49.35 at NC State on the beam.
Ella has not had a lights out type of night so far today on the first two events, leaving opportunity for her to really use some of that as motivation, especially here on beam. Full turn up on releve, usually a litmus test to see how confident she's feeling. First big test right here. flip-flop, layout, step out. Saw how tight she was with her core and snaps those arms to the side. Beautiful work. And this is gonna be an issue for Ella. So now she was off on that jump. So she repeats through the skill, breaks up that connection. Getting herself back on track here. It's gonna be the dismount. She takes this 1.5 so high up in the air. Really controls any further deduction there. Things got a little bit off track during that leap sequence for Ella, but this was a flight series with authority. Love to see that aggression there, as does Coach Elizabeth Crandall-Hall in the background. Left that back leg a little bit farther behind her than we usually see, and you see the shoulder dip down, gets it back on track. In that moment, you're also minimizing any deductions, as she did here on the dismount. Judges will have a lot to consider with that leadoff performance for Ella.
Well, tonight we have a treat on the floor, 2 of the best in the country in this event.
This is amazing to see. You know, in good company across the majority of those SEC teams and Big Ten in there as well. What Stanford has done year over year is they cultivate lineups where they start at that 9-9 mark, and it's been great to see Claire Dean, Bay Area product, develop into that 9-9 score anytime she's on the apparatus, especially in the leadoff position. Unique here, it's gonna be a Tinsica. For those of you gymnastics purists in there, half round off, half front handspring. That was it, into a Rudy. Connects through to the straddle jump, but I think lost the bounce of the floor a little bit. Stanford head coach talked about first assistant Hallie Mosette really helping these athletes come alive, project, play a character on floor. Next pass here for Claire Dean. 1.5, front full. The front full rose up nicely. She used the bounce of the floor on that one a little bit more than the opening pass. Solid start for Stanford. Anytime her arms were moving, the legs were up, everything is extended down to the detail. Kudos to Hallie Mosette for that. We'll see that throughout this lineup. First pass, Tinsica has to pike down, short of rotation on that Rudy. You saw the straddle jump, just a tiny bit awkward there, but really did well to keep things moving. 1.5 front full, much better use of turning over that 1.5 up into the front full.
That Bay Area native, Dean, from a couple towns over in Piedmont. Here's Maddie Williams, all-time performance last year, 3rd highest total score in the NCAA last year. Her lowest score of the meet at NC State was on the beam. She scored a 9.775, coming up after a 9.775 from Cesario.
For Maddie, she is one athlete who you see her breathing, you see her taking her time throughout these balance beam elements. And that's something that's so refreshing because it also evokes a confidence in what she's putting out there. She knows exactly where her body needs to be on every single element here. Getting a little bit of a weight, and no one better to talk to before beam than Liz Crandall-Howell. Getting Maddie in the mindset that she knows she can deliver. Green flag is up here. She'll start with this wolf turn. Interesting, through the first 2 athletes, their first element on the beam, full turns each. Getting things going there. First big test for Williams. Front aerial, split jump. Very confident here. Next test is going to be the combination. Back handspring step out, layout step out. Wow, look at how she almost delays that back foot coming down onto the beam. Again, confident movements here. Keeps things moving. Switch leap into the split jump. Saw the shoulder similar to Ella. One dipped a little bit below. There will be a deduction. I would say the test of the routine here, wow, beautiful arms from Williams. Really needs to take her time on this gainer back handspring. Excuse me, back handspring into the gainer full. Controls the dismount very well. I would say that's one of the best dismounts we've seen from Maddie Williams this season. Talked about the importance of this first big test, getting her feet underneath her, front aerial, split leap. See how everything continues to move. The rhythm of the routine is something that's being evaluated as well. That back leg comes down exactly where she wants it. Set up for the dismount here. It's a back handspring, and then she'll gainer her leg. That's when she swings it around. There's the gainer into the layout full. Zeroes in, closes her hips a tiny bit. That would be a piked down position. Solid rebound, though, I think, after a little bit of an unexpected performance from Cesaria.
Dean with a 9.8. Here's the ACC Specialist of the Week. Sienna Robinson, a 9.95 last week against North Carolina, currently 15th in the country on the floor.
We talked about the performance from Claire Dean. Sienna Robinson definitely levels up in this second spot. Double tuck. Beautiful example of that front foot staying planted. Right here, it's a double turn with leg in Y position. The memo, short of rotation there, but still the difficulty unmatched in terms of the turns we'll see tonight. That's using the bounce of the floor. The Barani into the straddle jump at the end of that combination pass. Coach Tabitha Yim commended Sienna and the rest of her sophomore class. Didn't necessarily have the freshman blazing start that they were expecting, but really breaking in, coming into their own this season. Double pike to close, and we talk about directionally, the way that you're hopping. That one was a little bit forward, indicative of short rotation, but 3-pass routine. Kudos to Sienna Robinson. Dips it down to close out the second spot.
Stanford very excited to write this first chapter of the ACC after running the final chapter of the Pac-12.
Second look here, that double tuck. Very nice. Here we go. Big power. Wow, that straddle jump is phenomenal. Final pass here, take a look. Yep, really misses the set, so doesn't rise up nearly as much as she's capable of. Results in that tiny hop forward. But again, 3-pass routine, difficulty across the board. Great to see from Robinson.
A 9.9 for Williams. Evan, what are judges looking for on the beam?
We've seen it already today, the dance and acro skills, so things that are connected. And then obviously, you know, at the end of the day, it comes down to technique, how well you're doing it. We talk about Cal's emphasis on basics across the board. Kyan Mayhew is somebody who's grown into a competitive lineup spot. She's developed through freshman year into a calm, consistent performer. We'll see what she does in the third slot today. Gets that full turn underway, classic Cal full turn. Doubts herself and drifts off to the side on the series. Unfortunate, but lessons to be learned throughout this Cal lineup. Switch jump, switch half. Closes things off, round off 1.5. Tiny hop forward for Mayhew. Got herself back on track, sets up for this dismount. Does it from a stretch. Indicative of her power there. Tiny bit up to the side on the hop. She'll take some notes in. And again, like I said, important test for the rest of the Cal lineup.
Well, Hannah Walker scoring a 9.85 against North Carolina last week. She backs up. Sienna Robinson with a 9.75 for Stanford in the number 2 slot on the floor.
Yeah, Walker's got to pick up the momentum a little bit. They're used to a 9.9 plus score so far this season from Robinson. Had some uncharacteristic short landings today. Coach Tabitha Yim and Kelly Mosette really working on getting these freshmen used to performing and being comfortable in this competitive situation, doing more than just the gymnastics, if you will. Sets up for her leap series here. 2 Wolffuls to close. Actually never really stands up, dances out of it. Creative use of keeping the movement going. Split full from Alana Walker. Setting up for her final pass here. Front step out into the double tuck. Power to spare for Alana Walker. Fitness level of this Stanford floor squad. Great to see.
Walker wants to be a mechanical engineer from West Orange, New Jersey, and part of this really strong freshman class for Stanford.
This first pass, keep an eye on the front foot. She's gonna step back into a lunge with one foot. Tiny bit of a shift. And then I love the emphasis. She takes that front tuck step out so high, sets her up to carry it through to the double back. And you saw that time that front foot scooting back with the other. Hearts are up for Walker. She loves it.
The Yim saying the freshmen are kind of trusting the training as MJ Frazier steps up to the beam. Mayhew has got a 9.175, so Cal will hope to drop that.
Trusting the training is a beautiful lesson that you will learn time and time again as a gymnast. Talk about the unmatched moments that MJ Frazier puts out in the NCAA, and it starts with that full turn. Whew. This is a series unique to other athletes, and you saw that shoulder dip down, so right now she's improvising. This is not the plan. How will she respond? The cover series comes through clutch for Frazier. My favorite part of this exercise has got to be the combination we're about to see. Switch ring, tiny bit back on her heels, adjust it up. Here we go. Another, capitalizing on the ring position. She's got a beautiful one. All right. MJ Frazier has been clutch on the apparatus, needs to finish things out. Cartwheel 1.5. Tiny step forward with one foot, but MJ Frazier, gutsy performance on balance beam.
And finished 6th in the country last year on the beam.
So watch right here, her right shoulder dips down, and that's when she knows the combination has been broken. So here she sets up. This is something she does not usually do in this beam routine, but has, we talk about the arsenal of 10-0 vaults. MJ Frazier has an arsenal of elite skills, including that. Cartwheel 1.5, safely to her feet. She knows that there was a fall in the lineup before her, knows the routine on the apparatus didn't quite go her way. Got to commend her for keeping things under control.
And Frazier so clutch last year at Maples. A 39.825 all around helped Cal clinch their first ever outright Pac-12 championship. Here's Terralyn Wynn, who this is her first event time competing on the floor. She was exhibition last week against North Carolina.
We saw the overage of power she had on her Yurchenko 1.5 on vault. It's going to be much the same here. Wants to keep it under control. But watch this technique. Wow, double layout. She made us wait for it, but when it hangs up that high, excellent to see from Tara Lynn Nguyen. Part of the beauty of NCAA gymnastics is being able to watch these athletes grow and mature, especially in the performance quality year over year. Freshman year, Tara Lynn would likely be grinning ear to ear with this performance later in her career. Front tuck step out, into the double tuck, well-controlled landing. Big gymnastics on display from Tara Lynn Nguyen. She's happy with it. Following that 9.85 from Alana Walker, it's the duality of this Stanford team. You've got freshmen, you've got seniors and juniors all across the board. This double layout rises up. The form was tough on that from this angle. Legs pretty clearly bent, but gets the rise, and that double tuck, textbook there. Great chest position as she came down for the landing.
MJ Frazier got a 9.8 for Cal. Reminder too, they'll drop the lowest score as we have our ACC Gymnast of the Week, Maya Lasan, who on the beam, first team All-American last year. She tied for third at the NCAA Finals, and she was the first California Golden Bear to ever score a 10 on the beam.
We talk about the Maya Lasan brand, and beam is such a huge part of it, and this opening is quintessential Lasan. Gets that Cal branded full turn out of the way. Now we talk about the variety of skills that we're seeing. MJ Frazier kept it under control. Maya Lasan gonna do a 3-element series. Back handspring, layout. Saw the hip shift ever so slightly. She stays aggressive through her core, and her upper body gets things back on track. Here we go, switch leap, that back leg position on both the switch leap and the split jump. Exemplary to see for Lasan. And with that triple series off the top, it's a quick routine. She moves through this so fluidly. We talked about the double full, lets it rise up. Tiny bit of a rebounding shift in place, but the pressure was on for Lasan. She answered. Pressure from MJ Frazier before her, knowing she steps up here. Things not going according to plan necessarily. Maya Lasan said, no thank you, no more deductions please. Watch this rise, wow. Nobody's doing it like Lasan in that regard. Excellent job, showing us why she's a former NCAA national champion on this event.
I won the regional title last time Stanford was here at the Berkeley Regional last year in the beam and the vault. So Nguyen got a 9.875. And here's one of the best in the country on the floor. Anna Roberts, top 30 scoring-wise on floor this year thus far.
Anna Roberts, such a great example of gymnastics. The power, the grace, the elegance, all combined into one package. And you talk about control, the ability to wrap that all into one and then control a double back like that. Talk about the variety of skills and athletes' routines, also the variety of dance and presentation. Doesn't have to be cookie cutter or textbook, and Stanford takes that to a nice level throughout their lineup. Front layout, into a Rudy. Talk about patience on skills as well, using the front layout to propel the 1.5 twisting front layout up into the air. Wolf turn fake out. A lot of folks are happy to see that. Nice work for Anna Roberts.
She's won the last 3 all-around Stanford's been in, 4th in the NCAA all-arounds last year.
Here we go. Front tuck step out. Watch the control on this. Absorbs through her knees, plants it. Exactly how that pass should be done. And another one right here, front layout. See her weight layout to rise up, allows her to control the landing as she did.
So the Seattle native All-American Anna Roberts, after the beam performance from the Seattle native All-American, Maya Lasson earns a 9.925. Here's Abby Scanlon, who had her first ever event last week in her 4th year at Cal, scored a 9.95 at NC State.
What a story, Tim. I mean, you can't write it any better. Abby Scanlon stepping into this competitive lineup, as we've seen so many other Cal athletes doing, but she's doing it in the back half of her career. Back handspring, layout step out. This is a test for Abby. Last week, she had a clear runway. This week, the pressure's on. She's delivering so far. Switch leap, switch half, keeps it moving. Again, confidence, knowing exactly where her body is in space, that kinesthetic awareness, super evident from Abby Scanlon. Major tests out of the way, sharp choreography and movement, showing us why she got that 9.95 last week. Needs to bring it home here. This place will go ballistic. 1.5 off the end. Abby Scanlon under pressure. Great to see. Getting a hug from balance beam coach Elizabeth Crandall-Howell. Talked about setting the tone in this exercise. Huge test here. The back handspring layout step out. Saw those. That's a great angle to see the hips shift over ever so slightly. She minimizes any further deduction. Same thing with that one. Slight adjustments to keep things going. Now, critical right here on the dismount. She takes this hop forward. All right, hop and kind of a step at the same time, but I don't think they're 2 separate movements. Justin Hall, really proud of this athlete.
I mean, just an incredible story. She had never competed before. It's her 4th year at Cal. Injuries, it kind of happened during her career. In her first ever routine, a 9.95. That was tied for the best score of the meet last week. So it was a 9.925 from Anna Roberts, and here's Brenna Noltz.
Setting up Brenna Noltz very well in this anchor position. Talked about the dance prowess of this team. She's a former competitive dancer, using the senior year routine to show it off. Double pike to open, as you could see, kind of similar to vault. Chest was a little bit low, but wow, she knows how to optimize those landings, not take any unnecessary deductions. Talk about the quality of movement. This is incorporating every aspect of your body. So using the midsection up through the arms, down through the legs. Great example of that. Even some isolations. She's got it all, again, showing it off, taking the moment. Her senior year flow routine. That Rudy middle pass, again, another 3-pass routine. Tiny flicker of form from this angle on the front layout, but securely to her feet. Brenna Noltz. The fitness level and the fun level of Stanford on floor exercise evident across that lineup. She is pumped up. We'll get one more look. This first pass, it's a double pike. Watch the chest position. Snaps it up quickly. Turning it on. This final pass here, 1.5. Watch the legs come up over top right before they hit the ground. Tiny bit of form. But this, picture perfect ending for Nolt.
Yeah, Brenna started the year winning the all-around at the Washington Quad, and I think both of these teams would love to go back to Washington. That is one of the 4 regional sites in Seattle for the NCAA Gymnastics Championship Regionals. Maya Lasan, another strong performance for the ACC Gymnast of the Week. She won the vault, won the bars, and has put herself in position to win the beam as well. The all-around leader after 3 rotations. Stanford trailing Cal by 3/10. We'll have the next and final rotation after this from Berkeley. 7 Cal, the lead over number 13 Stanford. The big meet. And really, potentially, the ACC regular season championship on the line here at Haas Pavilion. Well, you look at these gymnasts, and so many of them are close friends. Maddie Williams, Soma competing for WOGA in the Bay Area, both Bay Area natives. And Soma also very close with Maya Wiley, who is a Washington native. And then on the East Bay Gymnastics, they grew up competing with each other and really best friends, Casey Brown and Claire Dean.
Yeah, really just showing what gymnastics transcends to. It's these lifelong friendships, relationships, and it's got to be amazing for these athletes to be able to see each other throughout competitive seasons, throughout their career, comparing notes, and obviously cheering for each other despite being on opposite sides of the line.
Yeah, we saw it at the top of our show when Stanford, going into the 4th rotation last year, was trailing by a 10th here at the Haas Regional with the top 2 teams going to nationals. When Stanford made it to nationals, they weren't just celebrating alone. Cal joined in as they were both going to Fort Worth.
Lots to celebrate from the Bay, and it was almost unheard of. You know, like you mentioned, Stanford coming in unseeded, but also unfazed by what was going on around them, and they were able to seize the opportunity.
It was the first trip to the NCAA championships and the nationals in 8 years for Stanford, and a great moment, and so much emotion was here on the floor at Haas.
I mean, Brenna Nolt, her face right there says it all. It's almost unbelievable. She's letting that feeling sink in, and also this run from Stanford, it almost is motivating you. Go for broke on the big stage, see what happens, do big gymnastics.
Well, the final rotations coming up, it'll be Stanford on the beam and Cal on the floor, where they're 5th in the country. Slight lead for the Golden Bears, just next to downtown Berkeley at Haas. See big meet. Cal with her the lead over Stanford, and a big by Maya Lasan.
It's branded content for Maya Lasan on balance beam. From the opening to the series, she was straight down the middle, said, shift, nope, I'm on tonight. And hangs this double full up there. Tiny movement of 1 foot, but over a 9.9.
Anna Roberts, a 9.925 on the floor for Stanford.
Yeah, the friendship goes a long way in Haas Pavilion. The front tuck step out through the double tuck, absorbs in a brilliant way through the double tuck and fakes us out. Not a wolf turn to close, puts a on the situation.
Roberts and Lasan growing up in Seattle. There's something in the water up there producing All-Americans.
I mean, Metropolitan Gymnastics, they go hard and they translate that into NCAA competition. Great to see the both of them really delivering, firing on all cylinders for their teams tonight. It's a close one.
Now Stanford went 49.325 on the beam. It was 49.275 on the floor for Cal. These 2 programs kind of are the programs that will lead the ACC. We talked to Amy Smith, the head coach of Clemson. She said, when I found out Cal and Stanford were joining the ACC, we got to get better, faster.
All ships rise, and you know, everybody works to that level, and I think it's a testament to what the Cal and Stanford programs have built year over year. It's that excellence, day in, day out, every element you're doing, whether it's physical, mental, you're trying to level up.
Justin Howell, the co-head coach of Cal, he grew up in Palo Alto, lived in Santa Cruz, Bay Area native through and through, and he said there was different levels to this rebuild here at Cal. The first one was getting top 36, make it to the NCAAs, and each level has led to what we saw last year at the NCAA championship, a runner-up finish for California.
I haven't seen Justin's checklist, but I think it's getting pretty small, and what he sees still at the top in permanent marker is NCAA national champion, and it is a case study in exactly how you build a program. I think fundamentally on the foundation of building people who love the sport, love their time at Cal, and then that translates into year over year, everything they're putting out there.
Yeah, Justin said he likes the basics, and for him, it's about teaching from the ground up.
Being basic is a good thing in gymnastics. You have that foundation to build on, and it makes all the difficult elements that much harder. So Justin Howell, I mean, he's a technician, and that is evident in everything his team puts out on the floor.
He's very excited to be on the ACC network as well. We're excited to have him. Look ahead, the next two meets. It is interesting to note that Greensboro, that'll be a kind of officially Cal-Stanford matchup. They're also going to compete in each other's quads. So at least 4 times these two teams will compete, but this duel counts towards the ACC standards.
Yes, and as we talked about off the top, it means more than just a regular matchup. And we also said that these teams usually aren't ranked as high as they are at this early in the season. So it's great to really compare and contrast with a local matchup. They're getting to see this level of competition over and over again throughout the season.
And for Stanford, it was a really tough week last week. They had a Sunday meet at Pitt. They got back on Monday. A lot of people were sick when they came back. It was a short turnaround to North Carolina, and they'll have another challenge. They'll go to Clemson, and Clemson's been selling out Little John Coliseum, about 8,500.
You talk about this week of training for Cal, and Justin Howell summed it up pretty well. Shorter than usual, but it's a good test. You know, keep the body guessing week over week and, you know, staying ready for those longer road trips. But so far these teams, and Coach Tabitha Yim was also mentioning to us, she wanted to see how her athletes responded to a longer trip, a shorter turnaround, and they were able to go out there and do it.
Tabitha Yim, a great gymnast at Stanford, was an assistant coach for the Cardinal, and now is the head coach of the Stanford Cardinal. Cal, they had a quick turnaround. And it's Sunday, the meet at NC State. Their flight wasn't until 8 p.m. on Sunday. They got back very early on Monday. And here Friday, this duel against the Stanford Cardinal. And then last week, Stanford had the highest ACC score of the week against North Carolina.
They really delivered on it, and especially with the test of being over on the East Coast. Coach Tabitha Yim mentioned that a lot of their East Coast friends and family don't get to see them that often, so it's amazing to see that energy kind of cross the Mississippi and go down to North Carolina for the Cardinal.
And down in South Carolina, they're building something special at Clemson. 5th consecutive sellout. They had a win against Pitt, as we are smack dab in the middle of dual meets in terms of the ACC. And then we'll kind of have some quads as we set up for the NCAA regionals and then NCAA championships in Fort Worth.
Yeah, each program talks about how they strategically not only build their lineup, but also their season. So those quad meets that come later in March, really good replication of a regional format, a nationals format. You want to get used to kind of that cadence of competition.
Here's Claire Dean on the beam for Stanford. The Cardinal 13th in the country, averaging a 49.119.
She set the table on floor. We'll hope to do the same on beam. Recognizing her releve position on that full turn. Held it confidently. First big test for Dean. Aerial, back layout. No hands through either of those skills. Something about Claire Dean's work, I talk about it a lot when I notice it, but it's intentional gymnastics. Everything is rehearsed and replicated exactly where she wants it. We saw this in her floor work, and she's carrying it over really nicely onto balance beam as well. Finishes up here. It's going to be a round off, 1.5. Wow. Claire Dean, these Stanford leadoff performers really getting the card where they want to be after the first routine. Great angle of the aerial layout step out. Stays square on the beam. Watch this, she'll look back right here, spots the landing, perfect position there. Not a doubt in her mind.
Claire Dean growing up a couple of miles away in Piedmont. She loves coming to Haas. What are some of the points of emphasis, things for the fans to watch for on the floor, Evan?
Difficulty, presentation, landings. I mean, a lot of them speak for themselves. Difficulty, you want to see those E passes, and Cal has a good mix of different E passes. Landings, of course, it's optimizing. Watch, in particular, for those front feet staying planted when they're in lunge position.
At Cal 5th in the country on the floor, and Kaya Mayhew, one of the big reasons why.
Here we go. Kyan redeemed herself on vault from last week. Now has a little more redemption from balance beam in the third rotation. Punch, double full, punch pike. Beautiful work from Mayhew. Mentioned it the last time we saw this performance in Haas, but it's her same routine from freshman year, has really given herself the space to loosen up, lighten up, have fun with it out there. She's always been able to tumble. Switch ring, switch half. Coach Liz Crandall-Hall saying it's a toe tapper. That's how I made it. Choreography, does the choreography for the entire Cal lineup. Here we go. 1.5, front half, stag. Confident performance in the leadoff position for Kyan Mayhew. She'll be happy with that one, and it's evident she is.
A 9.825 last week at NC State. She scored a 9.9 on floor at the NCAA Championship Finals.
Generates so much power. Watch, punches and flips with two twists and controls. Sometimes Kyan has a little extra power in that front salto. Tonight, straight up and down, exactly where she needs to be. Great stretch through the front half. It's called the Barani into a stag leap.
Back over to the beam. Stanford last year against Cal scored a 49.675. It was their best score in 20 years on the beam. Temple Landry, beam specialist, won the event at Pitt with a 9.9.
Yeah, and you talk about 9.9. Claire Dean just got one in the leadoff position. We talked about how these lineups are structured to start high and keep building from there. You started at 9.9, there's not much more space you can go up there. So with routines, with difficulty, hitting time and time again, that's exactly what coaches want to almost corner the judges into, you gotta go higher.
Wow, Dean, we lied to you. She didn't get a 9.9. They just changed the score to a 9.95.
Wow, what a start from Claire Dean.
A slight disadvantage for Stanford, slight lead for Cal. You know, Stanford has to score here on the beam to win the duel.
Yeah, and it's 1 for 1. You know, you're gonna see those numbers come up. You're gonna feel that energy building in the bay, and you know, gotta deliver. So it'll be interesting to see what we experience with the head-to-head matchup. But I saw some big numbers coming up for Mayhew. We'll get back to that after Temple Landry. Double wolf turn, slight waver as she stopped the momentum. Setting up here for a series. Back handspring step out, layout step out. Keeps things moving. She uses her arms to really elongate movements, give her time to breathe and relax. For good reason. That ring position, excellent as she tilts her head back. Secure and square throughout every element so far. Display of flexibility into the scale. Final test. Gainer back pike off the end. Stanford answers. A polite curtsy from Miss Temple Landry. Coach Tabitha Yim thrilled with it. 2 out of 5 in the bank for Stanford.
How about Mayhew equaling a career best, a 9.95 on the floor. Here's Maddie Williams, who had a 9.9 last week at NC State.
Important for Maddie to capitalize on that momentum. She had a great performance on balance beam in the last rotation. And we get a great look at the contrast of performance styles in dance and choreography from Mayhew to Williams. These combination passes are something that Maddie excels in. That's why she has 2 in her routine. The front layout into the Rudy. Ever so slight scoop back on the front leg. Just movement of the foot there. But no pike down at all. Maddie giving everybody a reason to say, oh, tiny bit back on her foot into that double wolf turn. Came out of it ever so awkwardly. Keeps it moving here. Switch half, split jump. Great angle to see the full 180 achieved. No doubt in the mind. Final pass here. 1.5 front layout. Look at the rise in that. Fantastic finish for Maddie Williams. Tiny bit of a wolf blip there in the middle, but the tumbling was phenomenal. Front layout, right into the Rudy. Adjustment there on the front foot, but beautiful switch half, split, wow. The final pass here, pay attention to that second element. Comes right here, floats, fully extended, pose, up to the arabesque. Great finish.
Speaking of great, Landry puts up a 9.9, and Ashley Carter on the beam for the Cardinal.
Big test, and that's not an easy mount to do under pressure. Jump to split. Full turn here. Did her club work at Charter Oak Gliders, same gym that produced head coach Tabitha Yim. Triple series, back handspring layout. Cool, calm, and collected as a freshman. Great to see for Carter. Excuse me, junior. Using experience on her side. Straddle, half straddle. But that chest position, upper body carriage, staying up square over the beam. Gainer front full off the side. Stanford is building that crescendo on balance beam, and when you are sticking landings after the fact, huge. Triple series again here. Yeah, I think there were a couple opportunities there. It seemed like she was drifting back and forth, but committed to the technique. That goes back to the basics we were talking about. Gainer front full off the end. Feet a little bit wide, but she's able to scoot those heels together. No deduction there, and the stick is making its rounds for Stanford.
So it was a 9.85 for Williams, so Stanford making up a little bit of grounds. CJ Kenneke has been a specialist on the floor, top 50 in the country on the floor in her freshman season.
Here's the freshman test I was talking about. Kinnicky, great performer. Same pass we saw from Mayhew. Running front double full, punch pike. Switch half, wolf full. Was dealing with illness last week, moved out of the competitive lineup, but she's back in and ready. Important, as we talked about on so many events, for these young Bears to get some competitive reps. 1.5, front half. There you go. CJ Kinnicky follows the 9.85, keeps the momentum going for Cal. Stanford has a lot of momentum over on beam, so Cal's got to step up to the opportunity. You can see there kind of almost went laterally on that front element. Needs to just punch a little bit harder from the double full. Closes her hips a little more than I'd like to see on that Barani, but everything super clean, fluid movement.
And I am legally required to say CJ's mom, Kelly, a gymnast at Michigan.
Go blue.
Just like Evan. Brennan Noltz is on the beam. Won at NC State a couple of weeks ago with a 9.95. After the 9.9 from Carter, Stanford was trailing by 1,500s, and they are climbing back into it here in the fourth rotation.
Pressure is on, and Brennan Nolt has had her momentum. The night has been building event over event. Another triple series. Tabitha Yim was so enthusiastic about the level of difficulty seen throughout their lineups across events. Another opportunity for a ring position. She showed that off well on floor. Same here on balance beam for Brennan Nolt. Stalls out the full turn perfectly on releve. Here we go. Can she keep the momentum going? It's another stick for Stanford. Brenna Nolt in the fourth position. Wow. The Card are thrilled with that one. Take a look at this triple series again. Extended through her legs, feet, and ankles, through every element. Here's this full turn. Stalls. Shoulders stop exactly where they need to. Stays square, up and down. Watch her spot the landing right there and knows exactly what to do next. Absorb it and see. Lots to celebrate for Stanford on beam.
Kinnicky at a 9.825. Ella Cesario out there. A little bit of pressure on her here at the floor.
Yeah. We're going to see 3 of that quartet of all-arounders. So Maddie Williams started a little bit earlier in the lineup, but it's important to see how Ella Cesario responds in this position. A little bit of a wait for the music to get going. Stays calm, veteran move. Points of emphasis, we talked about the difficulty being a key factor. She's upgraded the difficulty of this first pass. It's a full twisting double back. Important for her to control the landing. Best one she's done all season. Great to see for Cesario. combination to switch half ring. If we thought Maddie Williams was floaty on that 1.5 front layout, Ella Cesario says, top this one. Her final pass, really taken to the extreme. Working through the choreography, getting some breaths in. Critical for the Bears. Cesario delivers in the 4th spot for Cal.
That's a clutch performance with Stanford getting a 9.95 from Nault.
Doesn't look like the Stanford train is stopping anytime soon, so Cal's got to respond. And we talked about embracing pressure situations like this and what could normally just be just a dual meet. There's a lot on the line here, and Ella Cesario really rose to the occasion. Took these passes, I would say, to the extreme. Happy with it, getting some words from Liz Crandall Hall. Great way to end her day.
A Bay Area native, Huitsoma from Belmont, had a 9-8 last week against North Carolina. This is a big performance.
Very clutch. We mentioned her elite pedigree. Actually, in the 2024 Olympic cycle, vied for a spot on the Japanese Olympic team, came up just short. Tabitha Yim said, coming off an elite track, preparing for the Olympic Games, her preparation for this season had to be different. So they're pacing her on the leg events, bars, beam. She's been impeccable so far. And you can tell that international quality. She's been on big stages before. Aerial done to the maximum extent of the element. Sets up for a series here. Back handspring layout, step out. Wow. Stanford is performing undeniably. And Soma is embracing that as a freshman. Switch half to beat jump. Now it's important, settle yourself down. You've hit the elements, you're on the apparatus. You need to take that breath right there. Can she keep the stick train going? She can, fights for it. Adjusts in some arm circles, but really gritty performance there. No foot movement. It keeps going for Soma. Watch this, side aerial. Extremely square, extends up over the beam, everything in a straight line up and down. Talked about fighting for it. She knew that foot, ooh, digs those toes in. Happy with it for Soma.
We expected a tight first ever ACC big meet. It does not get tighter than this. We are tied. MJ Frazier takes the floor after Cesario's 9.925.
Hugely important for Cesario to get them over that 9.9 mark again, as Mayhew did. The last two athletes need to do exactly the same. Crucial for MJ to control this. Front tuck, step out, double tuck, see it? She's going aggressive. I like to see that type of mentality in this situation. Talked about the variety of skills that MJ Frazier has from event to event. Utilizes that ring position into the zone for her leap combination. A lot of you may be familiar with her gorgeous double layout from years past, hoping to put that in later in the season. Right now coming with a safer routine, still starting from that 10-0, just getting there in a different way. Takes that all-important breath. Needs to absorb this landing. Fully rotate through each element. Stood up a bit quick, but wow, that arabesque is picturesque. There you go, MJ Frazier. It's a back and forth in the bay. Cal answers. Huge mount. Front tuck step out, double back, wants to spot the landing right there. Keeps the double tuck pretty open, actually. Just another confidence factor. Very secure, front full. Starts to travel over to that right side ever so slightly, just out of line.
Well, here's the ACC Specialist of the Week, Sienna Robinson. She scored a 9.95 last week against North Carolina on the beam. And so we are very tight here at Haas Pavilion. A reminder, Stanford has not beaten Cal since the 2017 Pac-12 championships. And the winner tonight, more likely than not, is the regular season champion in the ACC.
Yeah, look at that, 49.525 already. Soma score dropping down just a little bit, but wow. They have a lot to work off of with this lineup and performance tonight. And this is just extra for Sienna Robinson. She's embracing that moment. That's one of the floatiest series, that culminating in the layout step out. Switch leap into split leap. Taking her time. Coach Tabitha Yim said when she's happy as a person, translates into her gymnastics performance, really finding a way to cater to their individual athletes. Again, cultivating both of these programs, cultivating the people first. This is very good from Sienna Robinson up on the apparatus. A little moonwalk to close, and if she can zero in on this landing, I would say they are back in that 9-9 plus range. Huge rotation for the card. Gets it. Wow, Sienna Robinson. Big moment for Stanford and the sophomore.
So Stanford expects to drop the score from Soma already, 197.3. That's the highest score of the year for Stanford.
That floaty layout step out at the end of the series. And the pressure's on, but trusting the technique, and exactly, we talk about spotting the landing, has a ton of time to do it. Actually gets that rotation a little bit, could get that left leg just a little bit more in front, but cleans it up, gets those heels together.
Solid performance from the sophomore from Las Vegas. Smile is on. It's been her show tonight. After the 9-9 from Frazier, Lazan looking to clinch the duel with a strong performance.
She's been lights out on floor all season. Again, what you come to know from the Maya Lazan brand, the mix of precision in the tumbling and the dance. Down to the fingertips. Solid first pass for Lazan. Really needs to take a moment to breathe, show it off. She's going big, projecting this energy up, using that momentum, probably feeding off of Stanford's energy as well. Full body movement, using every inch to project this performance. Final pass, 1.5, front full for Lazan. It's a good one in Haas.
All right, so you see the scores. Stanford dropped the score from Soma. Cal probably will drop the score from Kennedy, and if Lazan gets a 9.87 or better, Cal would win the meet.
The 9.875 is what we're looking at, but I would say, based on the level of gymnastics we've seen, the quality of performance, that was up there with Cal's best of the day. Front double full, secure and stable landing. Here we go, final pass. 1.5 into the front full, takes her time. Could see that front full rise up ever so slightly, but knows exactly where she's at, what she's doing, keeps it moving. And what a great ending there for Cal. We'll see what the number is.
Maya Lasan won the vault with a 9-9. The score just came across.
We've got a 10.
It's a 10.
2 10s come up, wow. Amazing energy. Tears from Lasan in the middle. What a beautiful moment. Literally and figuratively held up by her teammates. Amazing to see from Maya Lasan, bravo.
Second team All-American on the floor last year. A 10, now she's gotten 10s at Cal on the beam, vault, and now the floor.
Gym slam coming up for Lasan.
The 10 from Maya Lasan wins the first ever ACC Big Meet for the California Golden Bears with 197.55, 197.4. They outlast the Stanford Cardinal. Well, welcome back to Haas. Fresh off of the 10 on the floor. We'll talk to Maya Lasan in just a moment. She clinches the first ever ACC Big Meet for the Bears with the win over the Cardinal. Well, Maya Lasan was quite simply magnificent tonight, Evan.
And she was joined in fine company by Brenna Nolt on the other side of things. Stanford Cardinal was relentless, and Brenna Nolt led the charge across all these events, zeroed in on these landings. And I'll check the stats, but it's going to be a stick fest for Brenna Nolt and Stanford alike. Watch this 10-0 vault. Huge there, absorbs the landing, and carried that momentum over to beam as well. This last rotation was such an undeniable lights out moment. Had that 9.95 team high, matching Claire Dean's leadoff 9.95.
Maya Lasan, one of the best in the country. She and Maya's at home at Haas, and she was fantastic.
Undeniable from Maya Lasan all day. I would say that was indicative of what we were going to see from her. Gritty performance, trusting her gymnastics, the lead-off 9.925 on bars. Who else is doing it like that? And speaking of who else is doing it like that, the double full with the lift and the 10 to close. We said she's on 10 watch, and we saw it tonight from Maya Lasan. Amazing culmination to a duel that was one for the books in the ACC.
And she was building. I mean, 9.9 on the vault, 9.925 on the bars, 9.925 on the beam, and then not just the 10, the clinching 10 to win the duel.
And you know when Justin Hall has the rally towel going, something big is building. And Maya Lasan took a look at that and said, I'm going to go for it.
Well, these are the 10 so far this year, and you can add Maya Lasan to the list.
Look at that. I mean, Helen Hu, she's doing beam like no one else in the nation. Jordan Childs, fresh off that 2024 Olympic run, really representing for the Big Ten across all events at UCLA.
And I think that person we just heard was Maya Lasan. Take a breath. Oh, goodness. Super excited, Maya. We got you on with us. Just the 10 on the floor, what did it feel like competing out there?
Oh gosh, I can't hear anything. I can't hear.
Okay, well, maybe have some technical difficulties with Maya. You hear us, Maya? You got us?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
The 10 on the floor, what was going through your mind in such a tight meet and out there competing on the final event?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty intimidating. I mean, you know, the scores were close, but at the same time, these are things that we're not really paying to or attention to during the meet. So, I mean, we were hitting such good routines, the 5 girls in front of me, and so I just went out there, and I've been, you know, being really intentional about my passes this season and my leaps, and so I just went out there and competed with freedom and joy, and I just had a lot of fun, and I guess that's what happens.
Something you were paying attention to was detail in your routine, down to the fingertips. Talk about about the performance quality you try to convey on floor exercise.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, I would love to say that this is my favorite floor routine that I've had my entire collegiate career. And so I think becoming a performer on floor has, you know, become a thing for me this season, just because I love being able to express my personality a little bit. And yeah, just honing into the little details and taking it, you know, skill by skill all the way until the end, and also like celebrating and really channeling the energy in Haas especially, and with my teammates. So I think that's how I really did it.
Something that your team commits to day in, day out, whether you're in the gym or out of it, is excellence. Talk about what this team means to you and how you all put that best foot forward.
Yeah, I mean, this team is everything to me. You know, they're my second family, and especially being able to come out and compete at Haas is one of the greatest things, and, you know, one of the things I'm going to miss the most about competing, especially because I'm a senior this year. But I mean, yeah, this team strives on excellence, on joy, competing with freedom, and we really channel all of that in here when we're competing together as a team, and we spread the love, and we just have a lot of fun while we're doing it, and that's what really carries us through competition.
Curious about this lead-off 9925 machine you're building on uneven bars. It's amazing to see. Talk about your growth on that event specifically.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, bars has definitely not been my strongest event since my freshman year. I kind of been fluctuating in and out of the lineup, but, you know, I talked to the coaches about this, and I really set a goal for myself this year, and I said, you know, I want to be great at bars. I know I haven't been the strongest on this event, but you know what? It's my last year. I'm changing my routine. I'm going out with a bang, and I'm going to be an amazing bar worker. And so I've really just been channeling into the little details, especially with a new routine. And yeah, I mean, the goal is to become a better bar worker, and I think it's, you know, coming together right now in the season.
I'll talk about going out with a bang at 10 on the floor. Thanks, Maya.
Thank you so much.
Maya Lazan winning the all-around, a 39.75 for California. And, well, back here at the big meet, along with the best-dressed man in college gymnastics, Evan Hyder, Tim Swartz, we thought it would be tight. They were tied with 2 routines left, and this one lived up to the hype.
Amazing to see both teams add over and over events. The pressure was on, and it's a great test for them to take into those quad meets, that postseason mentality. So I think everybody's going to be very happy with what they saw.
First of 4 times that Stanford and Cal will compete in the same arena. You talk about building. How about the night from Maya Lazan?
Exactly what she wanted to do, exactly what her team needed from her. I mean, what more can you ask for than that 10 on floor? Well deserved for a storied career for Maya Lazan. Balance beam, you know, had some pressure facing her earlier in that lineup, but great to see on every event here.
Well, Stanford and Cal put on a tremendous performance tonight. It was the Cal Bears edging out Stanford with a 197.55 against Stanford's 197.4. Well, a reminder that you can catch all of these gymnastics meets on ACC Network Extra. For Evan Hyder and our entire crew, I'm Tim Swartz. Tune in Sunday, February 23rd, 2 p.m. as Cal takes on Pitt right here at Haas. So long from Berkeley.